Hi guys, we've got another workout video for you today, another one of your Tuesday workouts. It's been split into 3 sections again this week, but the difference between this week and what we've done in the previous weeks is that there's no set rest in between each section. So essentially, this part runs straight into this part, runs straight into this part. So you can see that there's these numbers on the left-hand side here. Those indicate the minutes at which each section starts. So essentially, you've got 8 minutes to do this first 3 rounds. So it's 3 rounds of 20 goblet squats or overhead squats and 20 single leg V-sits. So you'll go through 3 rounds of that. If you finish that 3 rounds in 6 minutes, brilliant, well done, you've got 2 minutes to rest. If you're getting right up to the 8 minute mark and you haven't finished, just move on to the next section. Ideally, you'll have it scaled so that you can finish in that time, but don't worry too much. I would just move on if you get to the point where you can't do that. So then on 8 minutes, you'll then start this next part. You'll go through 3 rounds of the 20 step-ups and the 10 press-ups, the handstand press-ups. And then the next section starts on 16 minutes. So again, say if you finish on 12, you've got 4 minutes to rest then before the next section starts. So the amount of rest you get is going to be dictated by how quickly you get through there. So you've got a bit of an incentive there to try and get through these first 2 parts nice and quickly. The third section is sort of limited in terms of time, specified in terms of time, so it's every minute on the minute for 12 minutes, which is essentially 3 times through what's on the board. So in the first minute, you've got, well, they're all 12 to 20 reps. Goblet squats or overhead squats, second minute is dips, third minute is step-ups, fourth minute is sit-ups. And so you've got a minute to do each section, so you've got a minute to do your reps before you move on. You'll probably find that you're relatively tight for time on these. It's going to be quite a short turnaround compared to some of the every minute on the minute stuff that we've done in the other workouts. But you should have had a good amount of rest coming off this second part here before you go into this. So let's just try and whiz through it and crack out 3 rounds essentially. But remember, if you're doing your goblet squats there, if you do your 20 reps in 40 seconds, you've then got 20 seconds to rest before you move on to the next section. So it's not just going straight through, you've got that every minute on the minute format for that part. So you see some of the exercises are repeated as you go through. In this last part here, so you've got the goblet squats in there again, and you've got the step-ups in there again, but we've added dips and sit-ups in there. So overall, just make sure you know what the time format is, and you've got an idea of that when you start the workout, and maybe just have a big running clock set up so you can try and keep track of that. A few things to bear in mind scaling-wise. I mentioned earlier that because of the time constraints of it, we want to make sure that you are finishing each section ideally with a little bit of rest. So for example here, if you've got a choice of weights or exercise or scaling options, try and choose something where you'll get done before the 8 minutes. Similar sort of idea here. With that, and again, particularly going to this bit, you either want to set your number of reps or the scaling option based on getting it done within the minute. Obviously we want to try and get you done just shy of a minute every time, and then so you've got a little bit of rest each time. So the scaling will be important for this workout. In terms of your scaling options, your goblet squats, your overhead squats, you could either set up with a weight held in front of you like that, or you could always go lengthways like that as well, and just do your squat. Or if you wanted to do an overhead squat, you can have the single weight above your head and try and go down into your squat position from there. And if you're going to do those, I would do 10 of them on each arm. You could try and do it with 2 hands, but that's going to be particularly hard, and I'm not going to try and demo that for you. With the single leg V-sits, we're looking to set you up. So you start in your hollow position here, and we're looking to try and come up 1 leg at a time, nice tuck position at the top, and getting as high as you can into each rep. And we're trying to keep the leg as straight as you can. Don't worry if the leg can't stay completely straight, you can always put a bit of bend in there, or you could always try and bend to the point where it's essentially a single leg tuck up, which will probably feel slightly easier. You could also do tuck ups with 2 legs, and come up and down like that. Or you can always go on to sit-ups if you need to as well, which is what's in the last part there. So you could always just come up and down in your sit-up movement too. So you've got lots of options to that part. Again, it's just finding something that's challenging, but you'll still be able to do within the time frame that's set out in there. With your step-up, you obviously want something to step up onto, clever. If you haven't got anything to step up onto, there could always be lunges if you need to. I would recommend probably weighting them, unless you've got something really big that you're stepping onto. And remember, where you hold the weight is up to you, so you can hold it by your side. You go for it in front, go for front rack, or you could go overhead if you're feeling particularly excited. And we're just looking for the front foot, drive you up into that standing position, keep the front leg on if you want to, and then when you've done your reps, you can swap your legs over, okay? With the press ups, handstand press ups, again, similar sort of idea. We want it to be challenging, but it needs to be doable as well in the time. And remember that with the press ups, we're looking to try and get you all the way to the floor, all the way back to arms locked out at the top of each rep. We want the whole body to move together as part of that. If you either don't have the space or aren't really capable of doing handstand press ups, but you want something more difficult than normal press ups, you could always do a pipe handstand press up. You set up in that pipe position and press out of there. So there's a bit more of a vertical component to it essentially. So it's not quite handstand press up, it's not quite press up, sort of somewhere in between. In terms of exercise in the last part, the new ones, you've got dips in there. I would use potentially whatever you were doing your step ups off, so you can set up off that. Remember, you can do these with your legs straight or your legs bent. I'm trying to control you down, a good strong press up out the top into a locked out position. And the legs straight version of that is going to be harder. So those are your exercises in there, and those are the sort of respective scaling options that you've got available to you. If you want more ideas for scaling options, whether that's because of injuries or space or whatever it might be, then you can always ask me or one of the other coaches individually. So obviously what I've got there is a fairly general overview of it. In terms of the warm-up, this is what I've drawn up, so you can take a screenshot of that if you need to. So here we've got a little bit of lower body stuff, a little bit of upper body stuff, and then I just want to run through some of the exercises that are in the workout. So the leg swings, you just want to find something to lean on. I can't really lean on this, but you're just swinging your leg back and forth with the leg straight, and ideally you'll have like your wall or something that you can just put your hand on and stabilise yourself. You'll do 20 of them, so that'll be 10 on each leg, and then you're going to do 10 Cossack squats. So that'll be just setting up with your feet wide like this, and going down into a sideways squat. So that'll be 5 on each side with them. You go twice through that. The shoulder swings, they can be whatever you like. They could be across the front like that. You could circle your arms backwards, or you could circle your arms forward, or you could go absolutely mental and do a mix of them. The Scap Press Ups, we're looking to set you up in your press up position, and we're squeezing your shoulders together, keeping the arms straight, and then pressing back out of there like that, and that one rep on them. They can be done from your knees as well if needs be. So once you've done that, you've done a little bit of lower, a little bit of upper. Then the last part, we're just looking for 10 of your step-ups, 10 of your goblet squats, 5 press-ups, and 5 dips. And by the time you've gone through all that, you should have had a nice mix of upper and lower body stuff. And from there, it's just making sure you've got your kit set up. And like I say, being aware of the timing aspects of them, and just keeping an eye on the clock as you go through. Like I said in the middle part, if you do have more specific questions about that, then please let me know, and just be wary of the time format of it and how that's going to impact on your workout. But otherwise, enjoy, and I will see you all next week.